Hey guys, Sam here, back with you per a member's request. We're going to take a look at EOS to the dollar and to Bitcoin. Some interesting things to see and learn here. This has been an unbelievable run this coin is on, and it's still rolling here as I'm recording this. Now, one of the things that's interesting about EOS, and it's not unlike what we just looked at with IOTA. So here I'm over here on CoinGecko now. So this we can look at this. So we know EOS is one of the top 10 alts. It's got a market cap of over 7 billion on the metric score at 72. Interestingly, same score that IOTA has. And also equally interesting when we look here at where it's trading. We have about an equal split between the US dollar and Bitcoin. The bulk of it is coming from Korea. But if we look here at where we're seeing that trading, so here's the Korean trading. Bitfinex is where we're getting the bulk of it on the dollar. Binance right behind it for EOS to Bitcoin, and then Bitfinex again here. So we're going to use Bitfinex so I can get that data within TradingView. So let's because we have the bulk of this trading here in the dollar, let's start with it here on the dollar. Now, so I mean, we just an unbelievable move that we're seeing here. This has long been a crypto that it always had a great fundamental story, but it took a while to get going here. There were several attempts for this to roll, but now we are certainly moving here. So I've got this. This is the 4 hour on Bitfinex, and I'm going back to the, so if I were to scrunch this up, here's where it landed, and I'm just taking the lowest low that I could wick off here so that we could look at where we start this entire impulsive structure. So let me open this back up. Now, what I think you'll find is that if you're looking at coins like this that are moving this parabolic, you can get a better look at it and a better read of the wave count if you go to the log scale, so we can see it. We can see the subdivision a little bit more clearly here. So here it is, log scale on the 4 hour, and we can see that we are still running here. So here we get with the very clean subdivision into a 1, and you know, if I pull this here, I believe that was right at the 50, right? So there was, so there with second wave right at the 50, right between the 50 and the 618, you know, textbook, right where the highest probability zone for a second wave. So we come in, we play ball there, and then we're off and we roll, and then here's our negative 618. So from the algo point of view, that they get their first target here, second target here. I mean, it's been just a windfall. It's just a beautiful trading market. So we look for subdivision. So if that's a 1-2, then we start measuring in addition to those algo targets. We start looking now for the fibrillations shifts that we would expect to see from an Elliott perspective, and you can see here we're well to and through for the 1-2-3. So here's the 2-6-1-8, which would be an extreme. We get this wick right here, but it keeps going, right? So interesting. So that's clearly a technical bounce there, but within this, we also get subdivision. So here's our third. So I've got it currently labeled here as topping here. From within this, we also get nice subdivision. So we get this pretty one wave here, come down for the 2. You know, the log scale doesn't distort the swing relationship. So if we take this to the 1 wave, it's shallow, right? We know that this statistically is a low percentage for a second wave to only go to the 382. It's between 12 and 15% for a second wave to be that shallow. But in a raging bull like this, you know, there it is, right? So 1-2, there's the first target. They get all the way to the negative 100, and then to the tick, the negative 618 for the third. So again, just, you know, algo footprints all over this, trading very technically. So here's our 3. Now we get into this sort of complexity here where it gets a little tricky. So we get our 3, then we have an ABC into a 4 here. You know, a sideways here. So we get a simple correction here, we get complexity here, and finally cap out here for a 5th to top the 3rd. Then we get our very, very, very common pattern. This is the pattern that we see all over crypto, where we get a truncated C wave. We get a triangle pattern. Here's our A sell-off into our B. Then we don't get, the expectation is the C wave comes down for a new low, but as is the case in really strong bull markets, we get this triangle pattern. So we get the shallow C wave. So now if I put this, let me scrunch it back up here. So we look for the 4th wave is very shallow relative to our 2. So let's just, so we measured it so we can go back and look at it, because you'd want to do this. So looking here, so here's our C wave, so that's our 38. So, you know, not, I mean, that is the zone you'd be expecting. So here's our buy zone here for the 4th between the 38 and the 50. So we get it. I think the expectation was that we would get down to the 50. I think we were left hanging with buy orders down here at the 50. Didn't get it. Looking for a revisit to the Vegas wave. Doesn't it? You can see the alarms were set here. Right, that was likely a trigger to be stopped out. We don't get the fill, and now it continues to run. So where are we now? Well, let's go down to the 1 hour, see if we can get a better look at it. So so here we get a 1, 2, 3. We've wicked off the 1 high here. So we know we're potentially now in the 5th. Now keep in mind, when a coin is ripping like this, this whole thing could get relabeled. Right now we are still within the confines of a 1 impulsive wave structure, but this could be getting relabeled, right? For all we know, this just keeps rolling, and you know, this could end up, you know, being a 1 wave. We just don't know. All I can tell is now I've got good subdivision, very technical trading, and I can still maintain sight of a completed motive wave, you know, until I see that we're exceeding, you know, we're moving into new highs and potentially have to relabel things, as we've had to do repeatedly with Bitcoin, right? So relabeling is often the case, particularly when you have moves like this. But right now, I can still count out a completion here for this potentially to be completed. Now, you know, I don't call tops here, but I can see that we have the potential for this to be completing here a 5th wave. So we have our 3, 4, then we get 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't overlap the 1, so we stay impulsive. And yet again, we've subdivided into the 5th. So for this, we get a very nice. Here's our, if I can get it highlighted. So here's our 4th to our 1. We go deep. We know a 2 can go as deep as the 786. So let me zoom in there a bit for that so you can see it a little bit better. So here's our 1 wave. We go deep. Oh, look at the Vegas wave right into the pocket. Right, that is the sweet spot for a Vegas wave trade. So we go through the 6.5. We're shy of the 786, right into the pocket for the Vegas wave, and now we've ripped off for, you know, what appears to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're looking to complete the 3rd of the 5th. So if I pull some of this off and we look at it from an Elliott perspective, so if this is my 1 here, down to this 2. Well, that's kind of interesting. So here's our high probability zone, and it's overlapping with the negative 618 from the much lower pull. So potentially I may have this. I may have the 3, likely do, have the 3, 4, 5. So with a wick off of here of the 1 wave, we can see this again. This kind of thing doesn't happen by accident. So we don't overlap the 1 wave. So it would appear to me that we've got a 1, 2, 3 right. It ticks the 1618. Just textbook trading. So into a 4. So we got potentially here, potentially, we don't know yet, but potentially we're coming up to complete this, which, I mean, for all we know, it's the 1 wave of the 5th wave. We just don't know. I'm certainly not calling a top given this kind of, you know, impulsive behavior that we're seeing here. No need to be calling a top. As I said, this could all be relabeled. But right now, potentially, I'm setting up here, and this would not be surprising, that we would get the 5th up here at the 2618. So that's one to be watching for, at least to be looking for a reaction. So I wouldn't be so presumptuous to say, okay, there's your top of this entire move, and now we're looking for a retrace of the entire thing. I mean, a lot of people have tried to do that with Bitcoin. All I can see, I just continue. You know, you trade it until it fails. That's what I can tell you. Right now, this just continues to create impulse after impulse after impulse. No reason to expect that to not continue until it doesn't. Right? So if we top here, again, for all we know, that's a 1 wave. We just don't know. You know, you can't get locked into a count. You know, pardon the pun, you just have to stay fluid with it and adapt to what the market is revealing. Right now, this is just a raging bull. Now, where's the next opportunity? Well, you've got to keep some context here. So here's the last low before this impulse starts. Right? And remember, I'm still on log scale. So just so you see the difference. If I go off of log scale, right, you see that So here's our 3. It's just easier to see it when you go to log scale. So now I get my 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my, so potentially I've got some sort of pivot there that I want to pay attention to at the 2618 here relative to the 1, 2. That would be an extreme here, but we'd also, if I open this up, just for the sake of being thorough, if potentially I've got my 5th up here relative to my 1 wave, I'm also going to want to check the length of the 1 wave projected from what is currently labeled as my 4th. And so look at this big confluence I get here. Big confluence zone here where I get overlap, but then I have a higher target up here. Nothing says we couldn't go up there. So expecting a reaction here, yeah, that would surprise me if we don't get a reaction there. But we could easily be heading that high. So no reason doing this. So let's just, again, to be thorough, let's just, as I would be doing, I certainly would have a pitchfork on that. So this lines up rather nicely, but it may just blow right through that. So oscillators, any help here? Not, we've got some divergence here. That gets my eye. So, again, not calling a top, but that divergence there is, certainly worth acknowledging that we may be slowing down a little bit. So do we get up here and get a reaction? Wouldn't surprise me. But right now it's just raging bull. So I certainly wouldn't be selling it anytime soon. Really the question is, where's the next opportunity to get long? And can you get long in this kind of a bull market where you've got a reasonable spot? This was awfully good right here. So if I just pull this off just to show you, I'm not in this. I think I have some members that are in it, but I am not personally in this. But I certainly at this point kind of regretting that I'm not. So if I look from my 2 up to what appears to be my 3rd, note the 4 to the tick, to the 50 to the tick, without overlapping the 1. So the 4 stays very technical. Here's my first algo target. We're still a little shy of it. Here's the negative 618. So yet again, more confluence up here. Here's the negative 618. You see it here in blue. That's an extreme algo target for that 50. They're about to get their first target. And then here we get this additional overlap up here where we had the 2618 of the 1 wave relative to the 4th here. So that we get a little confluence zone up here as well where we're at the 200% of the upper parallel to the median line. So you've got some reasonable targets up here. But first one you got to get through is this one, and we're starting to weaken a little bit per the oscillators, right? So look at the RSI giving us that divergence. That doesn't mean it couldn't just continue to rip higher, but if you're looking to be, I wouldn't be a buyer here given that divergence. I'd be looking for the next time I can get a clean 50 like this was right here. And I didn't. I wasn't trading that. Wasn't watching it. Textbook, perfect trade. This has been incredibly technical move, and it just beautiful technical trading, just like most crypto. It's remarkably technical. It continues to surprise me how technical it is, and this is the pattern that you really have to watch for in crypto: the shallow C wave, the triangle in the 4th. We're seeing it in coin after coin after coin, just all over the place, Shallow C wave, just out of curiosity. Just because that was really the last pretty setup. So we don't get the median line there, so that would have been a bit of a fake. Let me get this lined up, see how the modifiers caught it. So I'll go to shift, too steep, modified. A little bit of a reaction around the median line, but then the break here was clear. We were off and going. So here was your next opportunity on the long side. Again, I'm not in this. I just like to go back and see how technically it's trading. So we get 2 ticks from the 50, and there's the pop there. And interestingly, as I show you guys, you always want to look left and look for any structural support. So you see how we got this here. So prior resistance gives you the support right at the 50. That's just a gorgeous trade that I'm sorry I'm not in, because it's not rocket science. Here's my low. We've broken out of this channel. Here's my pivot, and I start to sell off. Here's my prior resistance. That you don't have to be an Elliottician to take that trade. That's just a simple algo pull. There's my 50. Here's my negative 23, and it goes all the way to the negative 100. Does not require any Elliott skill set. That's just simple trading, just structural trading. All right, let's quickly go look at it. That's to the dollar. We know it's also, I've got it over here, and I've got it just wide open here. So this is, how am I doing on time? That's 14. Okay, this is EOS to Bitcoin on Bitfinex again. Same exchange, same idea here. I've gone back to get. Here's the beginning of it. I've gone back to the lowest low. Let me go out to the. Let's go to an 8 hour so you can see where I'm pulling that from. I can get it. There we go. So I'm just pulling the absolute lowest low and just wicking it off, so I know where this impulsive move starts. I mean, look where we've come from, just to give it some relative context. So let's go down to the 4 hour, and we can see how that's starting to look very impulsive. I mean, just your eye can spot that. You know, if you have any kind of Elliott trading at all, note here. So 1, 2, 3. Here comes the retracement. You see that? You don't need. I mean, that's Elliott 101. You don't need to be a master Elliottician there to see. Oh, well, I got a 1, 2. I got a big 3. There's my sell-off. And note here, this looks exactly to me like we may have that same kind of pattern here where we get the shallow C wave. So let's go down to the 1 hour and look at it a little more closely and see what we can make of it here. So again, I'm probably because of the steepness of it. Let's open it up here so we can make sense of it. So here's my low. So just eyeballing it. Okay, so what's the point of this? The point of this is to see if we can get pivots that we can work with, right? So that it helps us in terms of projecting in terms of where we are and where we might potentially be retracing. So if that's a clean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it does, although I want to go look at this and see if I've got that ABC pattern, which is what that appears to be to me, I'm certainly going to want to wick this off. So it's worth doing this because you don't know if and when these are going to come back in play. So all of these are, whenever you see this kind of reaction here at prior swings, you want to pay attention to those because those don't happen by accident. Look at that right there. So you may have an A, B, C. Let's look at it in a little more detail. So clearly I can get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's look at this and just zoom in. So that does look to me like this is a good 3. So you can see the diagonal here. So there's your ending diagonal to finish that. But this rips straight down. That's definitely most likely an A wave. So we'd get an A, B, C here. So you can see them. So if I look at this, this is what I see. There's my C. So there's that triangle pattern again. It's just been incredibly consistent. Strong bull markets. Buyers don't want to wait. So we get this action here into that C wave. It makes it tricky to trade because you're anticipating the C to come down here below the A wave. So it's just one you've got to be alert to in crypto because we're just seeing it all the time. So let me put this in a larger degree. Let's go. There we go. Okay, so there we get our A. You can see it. So technically, this goes over here. So here's our C. Here's our 4th. Okay, so now we've got a decent count that we can work with. Okay, so where are we now? Well, okay, if this is my 4 here, then I go straight up, and then I get here. I can see I've got likely an A into a B into a C. So yet again, it would appear that we have this truncated move here. So 3, 4. Now I'm looking for subdivision into my 5th. So I'm going to take that count from this low here. So this clearly is complete. So I would likely this looks like what we've got here to complete this. So let me take that to a smaller degree and just try and make sense of it for you. So we're not complete here, but we've got a 5-wave structure, and then we get an A, B, C. So what does that tell us? That this is likely just the 1 wave of whatever move this is. So this could very well just be the 1 wave of the 5th wave. So think about that in context. Let's go to the log scale and see how that helps us get a better read on it. So if I've got a 1 wave here, so what does that imply? That implies much higher prices. Much higher. So again, trying to give you some context here. So I've got a completed 5-wave structure, so I can't ignore that. I got to count that. So here I'm here from my low here. So there's my 1, potentially my 2. We can't be definitive about it. We can just say that is lining up as potentially this just the 1 wave here. So let me change that color and take it up a degree so we get a sense on where we could be going. Okay, so we'd look for the start of this move here. It completes here. And here we go right to the 50. Right, just right into the Vegas wave. So potentially this is our 2 wave of the 5th wave. I mean, again, this could all get relabeled. All we know is that, again, you trade it until it fails. You trade it until it fails. I get a very pretty subdivision here into what could very well be a 1 wave of the 5th wave. So I would have to change that degree. I would take that up. Let's put that in white so we get a sense of where we are here. So let's go up to an intermediate. So this could well be 1, 2. So where are we going now? So now you look at that and go, okay, well, if this is my 1 and that's my 2 here, where's my high probability zone for my 3rd? Right up here. So no reason to anticipate that's not going to get there, because right now it's just raging bull. Raging bull. So why would it, again, do we have any divergence here to tell us otherwise? Well, maybe a little bit right here, but we could just be completing, the 1 wave of the 3rd wave. We may well have a 1, 2 here. Remember, I'm in log scale, so you got to keep that in mind. You're going to get a little distortion to your eye as you're looking at this. So if I go out of log scale, you can see that. So this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 could be the 1 wave of the 3rd wave. We've got a long way to go. So let's get a pitchfork on it. I mean, this thing is just, amazing, amazing trading. So let's get a pitchfork on it. So if that is my 2nd there, tighten that up. Here's my target up here for my 3rd, and I'm getting subdivision within it. So it's unbelievable. So here, I've got right now, I've got the modified shift on it. So let's go back to original and see where we may be going. So we're already to the median line, and we're getting a little reaction. So that may be why you're getting this little divergence here, because we're getting a reaction there. So algos from here, here's their profit. They take a little profit, we get a reaction. So it could be we're just going to continue rolling here. So if we don't pivot on the median line, as we may be doing that here, if we don't pivot here, we're going to keep going. Often there's a stutter step, there's a stagger. It'll hover around both sides of the median line before there's a decision made or a commitment, and new volume will come in and take it up towards that 3rd, which interestingly here, so whether we're going to go here and this is where the median line and the upper parallel here gives you some sense of time. Well, we're not going to get here, so maybe it's here. So maybe we're just getting started in the 1 wave of the 3rd wave, because nothing says we have to stop here. We could be going higher. The 3rd could be way up here. For all we know, no way to know. But this is a likely destination for it here, statistically speaking, from this 1, 2. And again, we're trying to carve out a 5th relative to where we started this whole thing. No telling where that comes in. Right now we're just in a 1, 2. And I can be confident in that 1, 2. So get right here. So here was the corner pocket right at the 50 into the Vegas wave. Doesn't get any better than that. We had some structural support here as well. All just textbook, perfect trading. 80% probability that we get to the median line from that corner, as I just showed you in the last, when we looked at IOTA. It doesn't always happen. There's the algo target. It doesn't make the median line. So maybe this final push here, now we get the median line. Now you get it. This is where, so it'd be tempting to take profit here, but we don't get the median line. So maybe that's a partial profit. We get the little sell-off. Now you get the median line. So looking at that, here's 100%. So if this is going to stay as a 3rd, ideally we'd at least make 100% of the length of the 1 wave. So we don't know exactly where we are yet. We're just getting a reaction at the median line, and we've hit the first algo target. Went right to it. So here's the next thing I'd be looking for. Do we get to 100? And if we get there and we blow through it, next target looks to me like we're up here at the 1618, 175 box. So we're up here at 90, 24. I mean, there's no reason to think this is going to stop. It's just absolutely beautiful technical trading. So you just ride them until they fail. Right now, no reason to expect that to fail. So my expectation is we're going to continue up and go tap that target up here. And I'd be paying attention to that timeline relative to when we get there per this upper parallel. Right? But raging bull. Another one I am not in. I mean, I've got a lot of trades on, but I'm not in this one. But I've got some members in it that are interested in getting in it and that are trading it. So that's what we do here. So break it down so people can get a sense of where we are and where's the next opportunity. As far as I'm concerned, the next opportunity is if and when we put in that third, and we're looking for the fourth to try and get a fifth. So where that ends up being, no way to know at this point. But until we get a pivot here for a third, we can't even think about the fourth. Right now, we're just off to the races putting in a third. Next opportunity, once we get a pivot up here and we start a little ABC, then we're looking for the fourth to take us up to the fifth. Very technical trading. Really good stuff here. Both dollar, for EOS, both dollar and Bitcoin. Incredibly technical. Lots of volume. I think I looked at this earlier. It was, here I always skew this to volume. From trading volume. So we're, for about the seventh one down in total volume for the day. Again, market cap is, anything in the B's, these are your major, it's like, it's almost 6.7 billion market cap. Look at the volume here relative to Bitcoin. Here it is again, right? So big volume there, big volume. It's only up 40% today against Bitcoin. So one to absolutely pay attention to. Remember, it's this is a great coin with 72 on the metric scale. Very nice trading coin. It would be interesting to come back and visit this and see what happens when we get here. That'll be the next opportunity. And ideally, if we get up here, see what you'd hope for here is we get up here and then we get a return to the median line for the fourth. That would be perfect. That's what you look for. But right now we're just hovering and stalling at the median line. So hopefully we can qualify this as a good third once we get to 100% of the one. All right, so we wait and see. Okay, guys, that's 26 minutes. I'll wrap it there.